Junction Coalition. Junction Coalition is one of our communities that is definitely in need of these amazing, wonderful services that are going to be coming to us by way of our partners and lead, the city of Toledo. It's such a pleasure to have everybody with us. Welcome to the wonderful kickoff of our federal EPA artificial intelligence and lead line replacement here in Toledo, Ohio. My name is Alicia Smith. I am the Community Engagement Associate Director for Freshwater Future. It is my pleasure to have the opportunity to work with folks like Blue Conduit and Mr. Ian Robinson and Mark Riley and Beatrice with the city of Toledo. We're no stranger. This is not our first engagement. We have been doing this work throughout the region and throughout our city. So this makes me happy to know that we are now focused in directly on 6 communities and that we have the love and support of the federal EPA. And we're very thankful to have Ms. Victoria Robinson with us. She'll have an opportunity to speak with you during the course of this interaction. And matter of fact, Ms. Victoria, if you are able, would you like to have anything to say at this time? And she has her hand raised.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Hi, my name is Victoria Robinson, and I am with EPA's Office of Environmental Justice. I've been with that office for almost 18 years and been with the agency that long. And I am the project officer for the grant with the city of Toledo for this project. And I am really excited about hearing what the community concerns are and what they would like to see and how they view the overall issues. So I'm here to listen and take notes as it relates to the work that we're doing. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And we're thankful to have you with us. The importance that you see in getting the word out is paramount. So thank you so much for being with us. But this time, we do not want to prolong anything any longer. We want to make sure that Mr. Mark Riley of the city of Toledo has an opportunity to share about this amazing work in the city of Toledo. Mark Riley.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am Mark Riley. I'm the administrator for the City of Toledo Division of Water Distribution. Water distribution is responsible for the clean water, such as infrastructure, such as hydrants, main breaks, service lines. Basically, we're responsible for clean water. Most importantly, we're responsible for the lead service line replacement program. And the lead service replacement program is part of a $30 million project to replace all lead services over the next 30 years. Of some 130 total water lines connections in the city of Toledo water distribution, approximately around 30,000 city-owned lead lines remain in service. The number of privately owned lead line services is about 3,000, or would say 10%. These lead lines remain safe as the city utilizes an effective corrosion control in our water treatment. So you really don't have lead in your line, but we proactively are starting this lead line service replacement program. During the past years, your lead lines have been replaced as part of a roadway construction project that we encountered doing service line repairs, or say if we had a water main break. While the city is not required by the Ohio EPA to replace lead lines as of yet, our long-term objective is to eliminate all the lead line services in the city of Toledo system. The city requires notification. We're required by the EPA to notify our residents of the disruption due to the replacement with at least a 45-day notice. Some of you may already have received the notice that went out, I would say a couple of weeks ago, because our plan is to start our project August 2nd, 2021. For those of you that have received the notification, you'll get a second notification when we start a week before, because we don't want to disrupt anybody or surprise anyone at that time. Once we get started with this project, you will receive a free water filter to use once we start replacing the public side. Our goal with the city of Toledo is to replace the entire service line. So we plan on having contractors come in behind us that while we replace the service line from your curb box to the street main, our contractors will come behind us and replace the lead service line that is running from the curb stop into your home. With the contractors coming in, again, there will be another notification that will go out to all of our customers.
Wow. That's going to be quite the work that we will have to do together as a community and an administration. And we're very thankful for our Department of Water Utilities and all of your committed work. I do have a grandchild in the back that does not mind that we're having an important meeting all about her as lead impacts our young people. It is so very wonderful to have with us Ian Robinson from Blue Conduit. Ian, please tell us all about this artificial intelligence. What in the world?
All right, thank you so much, Alicia. It is my pleasure to be here, and thank you to the City of Toledo, to the community, and to others. Really excited about the work that we're doing. And so everybody can see my screen, hopefully, and can hear me, so we're all set. So what I'm going to do is talk a bit about the role that Blue Conduit is going to play in the larger project that we're talking about, which is using artificial intelligence to reduce lead exposure and promote environmental justice in Toledo. You can see the different partner organizations represented in on that screen. And I think the overall goal of the project that we have here is, how do we take a data-driven approach to reduce lead exposure for the most vulnerable communities in Toledo? And it's really the coalition of partners in this project, which is with the City of Toledo, with Freshwater Future, with Junction Coalition, and all of the other communities that will be able to do that by being able to generate and more actionable information data about the likely location of lead service lines in the city of Toledo, and then being able to communicate that in accessible, digestible, and actionable ways for residents and different stakeholders and how they need to use that. So when I say kind of what does it mean to have statistical modeling to drive decision-making when it comes to the likelihood of having a lead service line at any address, it is literally creating a map of the city using best practices in statistics to be able to assign a likelihood or a probability that there is a lead service line at a single address. Now, why would we need this? We'll get into that in a little bit. But what this can ultimately do is it supports decision-making on both prioritization, budgeting, and asset management when it comes to the replacement of the lead service lines. And also, it really supports communication and empowering residents with information so that they can also take proactive steps on how to reduce their potential exposure to lead, but really knowing that having the information that they have of what the infrastructure is that's coming into their homes so that they can make the appropriate decisions is really what we're interested in. This map here is just a screenshot from work that our team did in Flint from 2018. And it shows that sometimes you'll have homes that have a very high likelihood of having a lead service line next to homes that have a very low likelihood of having a lead service line. And this information can be very important and powerful when it comes to driving decision-making around not just where to go to replace, but also how do you communicate this information to residents who have varying levels of likelihood of lead and the steps that they can take. So first, we talk, why do you need to have a machine learning or statistical algorithm to help to identify what the material of service lines might be? And the reason is that the information that utilities have about the service line going to their into homes is often in books, it's in note cards, it's information that was written down in some way many years ago, if it was written down at all. and that could be unreliable, outdated, it could be missing. And the way to verify the material of a service, of the full service line, until now, the only reliable way to do that is to dig up a hole in the front yard to check both the public side and the private side of the material. It's unrealistic to be able to do this over an entire community for every single home. And so that's where how the order matters in which you would do any sort of replacement, and the budget is unrealistic to do it at every address. So if there is a high degree of uncertainty, it can increase both the cost of any replacement effort, but more importantly, what it does is it increases the uncertainty, the delaying in decision making, and the time to replace, or in the time that it takes to replace the lead service lines, meaning that they stay in the ground longer. So want to walk through the kind of 3-stage process that Blue Conduit works with. And I guess I didn't introduce Blue Conduit at the beginning, so I'll do that right now. So Blue Conduit is a water analytics company that uses statistical modeling to help communities locate their lead service lines. We believe that and are committed to the goal of helping communities locate these lines in the most efficient way possible, so that the information gap or the unknown around the location of the lead service lines does not increase the cost or substantially or increase the time that residents live with the risk of having a lead pipe connecting to their home. And so how does Blue Conduit work? Just kind of work through this 3 steps here. Is we start at the beginning with this kind of monopoly houses here on the left, where we know that cities will have some information about some service lines in their community, but there will be a lot of unknown or unreliable information. What we do is we work with the community to go and help them gather and data or verify the pipe material at a small number of homes in the community, so that we can get a representative data set that is reflective of the full community. What we're then able to do is, using the results of that inspections, we're able to feel in a very statistically robust way that removes any potential biases that come with just dealing with data that you get, to create probabilities that are robust and reflective of the full community, of home by home probabilities at every address in the community, allowing for many uses. But first would be prioritizing where to go first, going to where there's a high amount of lead, also including that probability among many other factors that can be considered when it comes to pipe replacement planning. And then as you go down the list, essentially think about it as a list of highest likelihood to lowest likelihood, that you go and you replace those, and then you go down to the next batch of homes. So you always think about this like over time, where in the first period, you've got a little bit of green. I guess there's no key here. There it is. Perfect. Green being known kind of safe or not lead, yellow being where there's known lead. What we help communities do is to reconcile, reduce that unknown, so that they've got an understanding of where there's likely not lead and where there's likely lead. And then we help them work to reduce and prioritize at addresses that are likely to have a lead service line, instead of prioritizing where there's likely a non-lead service line. So how are we going to apply this in the project with Toledo and Freshwater Future as part of the EPA grant? So some of this work has already been done in the initial stages of the project, but Blue Conduit worked with the City of Toledo, the Health Department, and others to gather any available data around kind of properties, buildings in the City of Toledo, so that we can start to understand the characteristics of the community. Then we generate a recommended list of inspection, that this first step here for the city to go out and inspect the pipe material at a certain number of homes. Since the city has sent that data back to Blue Conduit, and then what we'll start to do next is to start to run a predictive model where we're able to generate home by home probabilities to guide decision-making and public communication. And then organizing that at the kind of scale and the way that matters for the community and for the city for relevant decisions and resource use. helping them think about how to communicate this to the broader public with a public-facing map, and finding all the other ways that we can to share the results and information with the community. So just to give a couple of specifics about what has been done so far with the work, as Blue Conduit has generated that list of addresses for the city to go and inspect. And then this is some of the results. It's not, doesn't identify the address here, but it identifies kind of what the city found verified at each of those addresses. What we're able to do with this is to compare this against what the historical records were that the city had. It's not to say that the city didn't have information about its service line materials, but we wanted to verify the reliability and how accurate those materials are. As I had said, a lot of communities have some sort of historic records, but how accurate and reliable they are, it's uncertain, and that uncertainty comes with high costs for cities. So we want to help them reduce that uncertainty as quickly as much as we can. And kind of to show just a couple of examples where we found where the material that I can go through what the different columns are, but the most important was the verified public and verified private material of what they found at these addresses, and the fact that these did not match what the historic records had estimated or predicted would be found there. And so it's really what the predictive model is able to do is to take the information about homes where the model did not match and start to generate probabilities for similar properties and how those kind of patterns and those interdependencies are present across the city. And so what the next step is going to be, I said we're going to generate the probabilities, share those with the city, but also start to work with the city and community groups in the development of a community-facing map portal where they're able to access information. This is a map that we had built for Flint, but very similar of what we would build for Toledo, where it's in kind of community-facing language that is in plain sentences about what the material is, what the source of that information is, and steps that residents can take, who they can communicate with if they have questions. So I think that covers my portion. We're just really excited about the project, how this information can be used to support decision-making, not just by the city, but also by residents, and how it can support public education around the risks and not just risks and some of the reality of having a lead service line in your property. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Ian, when you and I hear our wonderful director, Riley, talk about all of this work, it is so important for our community to know that when you hear built community facing maps, it says directly, we want the community involved. We want the community in the know and at the table from the start. Why this meeting tonight is so important. So thank you so much, Ian. It is a pleasure when you start talking about community engagement, awareness, and information, to have an organization that is doing this work throughout the region and within Canada. So we're a binational organization as well, Freshwater Future. We have with us today Mr. Sanchez from Freshwater Future, who is going to be talking with us about all that is going to be covered with some of our community members, and who has had an opportunity to speak to most of them, of the 6 communities that we will be working with moving forward. Mr. Sanchez?
Okay, can everyone hear me clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So welcome again. My name is Sanchez Roll, and I'm an associate actually with Freshwater Future. So you've had the opportunity to hear from Mr. Riley as well as Ian what exactly this initiative is about. And so Freshwater Future, we stand on the same note with what they said respectively. So what we want to do is exactly tell you more about the initiative, exactly why we need you, some of our expectations, as well as the impact of this project. And we're here to answer any questions that you may have during this time. And so we definitely want to say that, we love the communities that we work with and we value your time. And definitely we think that what we're doing here, we know that what we're doing here will make an impact. And so we just want to say thank you for, taking your time out to be here as well. So it is a grant, and this grant is actually to promote environmental justice, accelerate the removal of lead service lines, and provide education. So you've heard from Ian of exactly the process of how this removal of lead service lines would look. And so we would tap into that and we'd actually provide education moving forward of what exactly how the removal process looks like, the different processes that goes along with the removal of lead service line within the community. And so the communities that we're partnered with or we're working with would be South Toledo, Junction Coalition, the Vistula neighborhood, the Old West End, the East Toledo, and the Monroe Street neighborhood group. And so I've had the opportunity to speak with most of you all. And so as the project moves forward, you will definitely be in contact with me in regards to what to expect and just general information moving along the project. And so you've heard from Blue Conduit, you've heard from the City of Toledo, and now Freshwater Future, because we're all partnered together to promote this project. And so I want to touch bases on exactly what is environmental justice. And I think it's great that during Ian's presentation, he said that everything would be on the same playing field. So no whom would be overlooked. Everything would be the same. And so when we talk about environmental justice, we talk about promoting environmental peace and harmony, regardless of race, sex, and color, regardless of income, as well as financial status. In regards to laws, legislation, and governmental rights, everything is on the same playing field and everyone has the same opportunity. Here at Freshwater Future, we stand on the principles of being community centered, engaging with the community, hearing their needs, they know exactly why we're here. We also pride ourselves on respect as well as self-reflection, continual dialogue with our companies, as well as our community members, transparency. So we're here, we will tell you everything that you need to know and everything that you want to know. You're here to ask us. Definitely integrity, equity, and inclusion, authentic relationships. And that's something that's very important. As I called around to the different community leaders and I spoke with you all shared valuable information. And that's something that we definitely want to build on within the community, and definitely honoring community timeframes. That's something very important that we take to heart. And so the public health effects on lead in drinking water. So we know that lead is a naturally occurring chemical element that's actually found in small amounts within the earth crust. And so to your right, lead is actually denoted by PB. And so that's something that you will hear moving forward as we have our trainings and our sessions and our webinars. Punching lead, punching PB, that's something that we want the community to know that we're here to do. So it enters the body mainly through breathing and ingestion, such as drinking water. You can develop brain damage, kidney failure, and it interferes with respiration. So within children, they develop a lower IQ. They are normally hyperactive and it stunts their growth. Within adults, we've been seeing the increase in blood pressure, reproductive problems, as well as cardiovascular effects. And so no matter the data that's out there, what we want you all to know is that no amount of lead is actually safe for the body. And so now we'll hear from Anne, who's our Associate Director here at Freshwater Future, and she'll just touch bases on the areas of focus that we're going to be moving forward on, as well as our expectations and impact.
Thanks, Sanchez. That was great. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent. So I'm just going to jump in to talk a little bit about some of the ideas we have of how we want to work with the community groups over the next couple of years. And I'm not sure we've given the timeline, but I believe this grant goes through, I believe through the end of September or October next year. And Beatrice can correct me later when we get into the question and answers part of the session. But one of the things, as Sanchez was talking about, of how we like to work with community groups, we want to work with all of you to make sure that we can reach as many residents in your communities with information about the public health impacts of lead, how people can stay safe until the city is able to replace the lead service lines if they do have them in their specific house. As well as what they'll need to know when those lead lines are being replaced. So we're going to be doing a toolkit with information, and that information will be fact sheets, it can be handouts, it will be social media messages. So we will try to work with each community to make sure that those messages will resonate and will work with your community members. In addition to that, because so much of this information, especially because of COVID, needs to happen during virtually, like we're doing right now, right? We're just starting to reopen the doors. We're just starting to get back together again. And so until we can know that everyone feels comfortable and it is safe to do that, we will be doing quite a bit virtually. As a result, the city has set aside some money from the grant to provide some technology to each of the community groups. And I know for those of you who have talked to Sanchez and completed the survey, that was a big part of that. So we know what you need to help bridge that digital divide to make sure that people can get access to the information that we want to help you provide. What we plan is to really do some trainings. We want to do 4 trainings, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in the expectations as well, with all of your community leaders as well as volunteers. So we're hoping to get at least 3 to 5 from each of your communities that would commit to helping to learn some of this information, attend the trainings, and then help be ambassadors in your community. We'll cover, the basics about lead pipes. So some of the stuff we've talked about a little bit tonight, but go in further depth. We'll talk about filter installation, how to use filters, how to maintain them, how to do proper flushing to remain safe if you do have lead pipes. We'll talk about community engagement for water quality. How do you give Mark a call at the city if you have a question or you're concerned? How can you start to develop relationships with the city reps so you can get your water questions answered? And in addition, we want to help make sure people know all the many steps that it takes to be safe when the city is actually doing that construction to replace the lead service lines. So there's quite a few steps involved with that as well. In addition, Alicia already mentioned that we're planning to do a couple webinars. We're going to definitely do one with public health focus, relying on some of the University of Toledo expertise to help us with that. And then we'll be doing a different webinar kind of based on what the community needs are and what you want and need assistance with as we move through this project. In addition to that, we will be providing a small grant to each community organization of $500 for each year to help offset any of the costs that may be involved with participating and helping with us. So we're hoping that that will be incentive enough. In addition, we have some funding set aside to provide incentives that you can give to your community members for gift cards and other things to get them engaged in some of the activities or events or learning opportunities we're going to have. I think with that, that's about what it covers. We'll be working with all of you to kind of, flush this out so that you can see it in writing. And we look forward to working with you over the next year and a half.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'll give it back to you, Sanchez and Alicia.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Anne. And so, as Anne had said, exactly why we need you and why we need you here. We need you to go out, to let your family know exactly what's happening, let your friends know exactly what's happening, and let them know that this is something that's very important. It won't be boring. It's something that's going to be very engaging. You've heard Anne said, you'll have opportunities to get gift cards. So definitely let everyone know, and to also educate you all, and so that you may go out and educate other persons, educate other communities on exactly, what's going on here, and so that you can be aware of what's going on in your community. And so if you need any additional resources, you can visit our website at freshwaterfuture.org. And there's actually a special tab for this project on there that you would be able to find out more information on the project. Alicia?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sanchez and Anne, and all of the team. This is definitely a team. Before going too far into our program, we have Miss Beatrice with us, who from Environmental Services, but has been doing so much more work. Beatrice, we just want you to say something to the community before we start our intro. And you've been paramount in assisting us to getting communications with these communities. Beatrice?
Sure. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. This is really, really exciting for us, and we hope it's also exciting for you. We know that water is important, and we know that the water that you get from the city is good water. But we are going a step further to eliminate one layer of, we know that especially people in the communities that we are in, because of environmental justice, there are many layers that impact their life. So we are hopeful and we're happy to know that this is one of those layers that we are able to address.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Beatrice. With your support, we have been able to reach out to many of our community members. And I see that we have Mr. Steve Seaton on with us from South Toledo. Steve, would you mind just introducing yourself, where you are, and why is this work important to your community?
Well, thank you, Alicia. You know very well I'm here because you asked me to be here, and when Alicia asks you to do something, there's no sense in arguing about it. You just do it. But in any case, the Old South End is a very distressed area. I mean, it's smaller than Junction, but it's has a very high incidence of poverty and all the associated problems with it. We do have a higher than city average amount of Latino people or Latinx people. We also have a bilingual school in the Old South End, which is nice, that teaches both in English and Spanish. We have some vibrant churches that are still thriving, particularly the large Catholic church on Broadway, Immaculate Conception. I go to St. Lucas Church in the Old South End. We also have some wonderful nonprofits, such as Adelante, which serves Hispanic people, the Believe Center, which is for youth sports. They're running, literally hundreds, probably thousands of kids through the Believe Center at 12 months out of the year. And maybe some of you know Tanya Duran. She's a sort of a similar person to Alicia. She's tireless and she is driven and she doesn't take no for an answer. We also have an organization called Mosaic Ministries, David Kaiser, and they focus on pre-K, early childhood intervention, which is just so crucial. And you talk about lead, children that are exposed to high levels of lead get irreparable brain damage. I mean, you cannot fix it. So in any case, I'm here to, on behalf of the Old South End, I love it when neighborhoods get together to solve common problems. And this is just so crucial. And I think I know most of the people on the list here, and it's going to be a pleasure to work with such outstanding, representatives of their neighborhood, people with passion and people that are dedicated to service. So thank you.
No, thank you, Steve. I would say that it's the other way around. When Steve Seaton gets on the phone and asks you to do anything, you want to make sure that you're present. I'll tell you, Sanchez was so impressed with in all the knowledge that you provided this young man with in just a short time in your call. And so thank you for sharing so much of yourself with the city of Toledo and being present for those of us that are in need. It is a pleasure to introduce Mr. Ramon Perez. But Steve, before I do that, did you have anyone else on with you tonight, or was it just you and representation?
I do not.
Okay.
We have I think Sanchez is going to try to come to our public meeting that we have quarterly, and that would be next Wednesday. And so we're really lucky that he's going to have a chance to, it just so happens that this meeting is coming up soon. We also have a planning session with the Toledo Design Collaborative that Beatrice is going to be involved in. We're looking at Broadway Street, as well as Western and South, and looking at housing rehab. Certainly in housing rehab, there's just, there could be issues with lead, not only in the drinking water, but in the, paint, such as that. People scrape and paint their houses that were built in 1920, and the lead goes all over everywhere, and they just don't know any better.
And that's something we're definitely going to be getting into. We're, as Ann alluded to, we're going to have some public health professionals coming on and having some conversation. And you, as the experts to community, will have opportunity to be engaged with a number of consultants and educators who will be more than helpful to get information out. I want to take this time to introduce to many Mr. Ramon Perez with Junction Coalition. And I do see Miss Eunice Glover on, who is the housing director for Junction. And so I want to first have Ramon. Would you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about the community that you serve, and why is this important to you? And then if Eunice, you would follow the same, that would allow us to get to know Junction.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Well, good evening, everyone. Ramon Perez, community organizer for the Junction Coalition. I've been with the organization for just a little over a year and a half, and just been doing a lot of door knocking, talking to people, listening, finding out issues, concerns they have in the community. And one of the issues that really raised up in the community was around the clean, safe water, and also the water rates that were increasing or have increased and will continue to increase. And so there was, a lot of conversation around that, and folks really wanted to make sure that, they have a voice in this process of addressing safe, clean, affordable water. And so we created a Toledo Community Water Council. And so this Toledo Community Water Council is really the voice for the community that is doing a lot of their own research and also following the issues and concerns that are going at the city level in terms of creating a water affordability plan, a debt forgiveness plan, which they really were at the table to move these issues forward. And certainly with the lead service line replacement is also a major concern for them, because it is in an older neighborhood, and it's been a neglected neighborhood. And so they want to make sure that the lead service line replacements, are focused and help the community residents. So we have a lot of communication with the residents, and as a matter of fact, we'll be meeting next week with the Toledo Community Water Council and updating them as a result of this meeting, and additional information on how they can support making sure that our community in the Junction neighborhood, the families and the children are going to get every opportunity to make sure that there is no lead in their water. And so we're really looking forward to working with Blue Conduit, the City of Toledo, and Freshwater Future to make that happen. So,
Wonderful.
thank you.
No, thank you, Ramon. I saw that Eunice and Ina from your water council are on
Yeah,
as director. So, Miss Eunice Glover, I saw your hand raised. Was there something? Would you please introduce yourself and just share? Thank you, Ramon.
you're welcome.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to the webinar. Um, I am always all about safety and housing, home ownership, and what we can do to help the community to become a safer community, and everything for residents and for families. What I want to say is whatever I can do to support this initiative and everything, I'm going to do all that I can. Education is near and dear to my heart, as Alicia knows, as Ramon knows, and Ina knows, and anyone else that knows me know education is near and dear to my heart. So what can I do to make sure that I am getting the information out to families, homeowners, renters, anyone regarding any information centered around lead and water safety, water affordability, and anything like that. So I am here to support all of it, 100%. And thank you so much, everyone on the panel and everyone that is participating.
Well, Eunice, I first want to say thank you to you for being willing to participate. As you see, Ann was already on it when Mr. Seaton's talked about having a large Latinx community in the South Toledo area, and so you telling us what the community needs is going to be key. You being on the ground with us as we provide this information, and Sanchez is going to go through more of what was already said to us by way of our surveys. So thank you, and just
Oh, perfect.
be on the lookout for many emails and time together. Good eating, because you know that's if you can't eat, then you can't meet. So we have to host together. Um,
Absolutely.
Miss Ina, I see that we have you on. Would you like to address the community, the panel, and just kind of tell us a little bit about the organization? You are a board member with the Junction Coalition. Is Ina still on with us?
Hello. Yes, I'm still here. I just had got on. Unfortunately, I hadn't checked no emails today. And then when I happened to look, Ramon sent me one about joining.
Wonderful. Glad.
So, well, I'm talking in on the end as usual. Sorry. But I just had heard something about South End and all of that. But I know Tanya Duran, I went to high school with her, so I know her very well. And she is a hustler for her area to get stuff done, as well as the junction for over in our area. So, well, I've been over there all my life, and I just want to see, yes, like get better, try to help people while trying to help myself. But the for what our community, because we've been lacking so much, and it's like we're the forgotten, and we just got to keep boots on the ground and keep fighting for ourselves, because obviously nobody else is going to do it. So
That's right. You're your own Superman. We appreciate that. And as many of
right.
you know, when you do this community engagement work, Ina, to your point, that one relationship is everything. So that relationship that you have with Tanya Durant, the relationship that we all have with Steve Seaton, the great relationship that Beatrice is formed with us throughout our communities with a lot of green infrastructure. Mark Riley, even though we fuss many days at Mr. Riley, he still comes to fix our pipes. And so now having the opportunity to come together and work diligently to protect, to serve, and to educate our communities is going to be key. So I'm very thankful to have you with us, and thank you so much. I wanted to just ask, is Pastor Mike, Brenda Sawyer, Jody, or Clara on with us tonight? I don't see their names, but I do see training leaders. I didn't know if that was one of them. Is that Pastor leader? William, come on, mute.
Hello, can you hear
Hello,
me?
how are you?
All right, good. Sorry, mine uploaded and it's this weird form of Zoom where I had no control over anything. So
Okay.
don't know what that's about. But Pastor Mike is here, and it's a pleasure to be with you all. Some great names and organizations here.
I'm telling you, it's a rock star party, Pastor, and you're one on the list that I have always admired your work in Toledo.
No, thank you. That's I am yet the least of these. So thank you.
Well, Pastor, did you want to tell us anything about your community and why you believe this work is important for your community?
Yes, yeah. I came on a little bit late because I was getting back from an LMH thing. But yeah, I mean, our community is this area of the North End is really interesting. I love it because it's so incredibly diverse. And there's just, there are some of the most interesting people I've ever met around this area. And so it's been a pleasure to serve here and to get to know people and to try to do things. What it's been hurting for maybe for a long time is gathering people together. And so that's what we've been doing these past few years. And so I've just had the pleasure of working with people like Beatrice and the Sustainability Commission, which I cannot say enough good things about. And so, with this work, anything that we can do to try to get good information or resources to our neighbors is important. And, I think that I have all manner of praise for Junction Coalition and what's been accomplished there. And, I would just love it. I would love it if every area of Toledo, without impinging upon the success of others, could experience that kind of success and empowerment, and that really, I think, would be a wonderful day. And so, you never know how that's going to happen, but you just hope for it.
Well, Pastor, listen, we can do this together, as Ina said, as Eunice said, so many of us coming out and getting together. And we all know that Steve does no stranger to walking and hitting the streets and knocking on doors. So together, we do better in Toledo. Um, Thank you so much for being with us. And Brenda Sawyer of OSN, we all know that the OSN is one of our beautiful communities, but not without any having additional harm in infrastructure. And Jody Gross over at East Toledo, who has been there for some time and been a complete change agent for our Toledo Family Center. And Clara, very thankful for all the work she's doing in the Monroe Street neighborhood with those beautiful tiny homes. I'm sure they will be joining us in the near future as we will have a number of opportunities to engage. Sanchez, that concludes our introductions of our communities that are with us tonight. And so what we want to do is go over some of the logistics and survey results that we have found from those communities so that we're all aware of what we need to do to support each other. Sanchez?
Awesome. Okay. Just trying to move my PowerPoint. One moment. Okay. And so when I spoke to many of you, there was a questionnaire that we had formulated just to get the needs and a general idea of the community. And so we asked, who would be the lead within the project? And most of you all volunteered, and I got the contact information. So definitely with that information, we will be in contact with you so that you would be able to reach out to your communities and, as much as possible and answer any questions that you may have in regards to the project. We asked whether, the communities were accessible to the internet, the top communication channel within the community, when community meetings were normally held before and after COVID, and what can we do to ensure your support throughout this entire endeavor. And so many of you said that communication mainly took place through direct phone call, email, as well as multimedia messaging. And so there was also a need for internet access, laptops, physical handouts, timely dissemination of information. And so we definitely want to ensure you that moving forward and everything that we do, it will come out in time. You will have time to prepare, get the word out to your community. Definitely love the support from Inez. You said that you're willing to go out and, knock on doors. So we need you, definitely. And so you all have extended invitation to us to several of your community meetings. as Steve has said. And so from time to time, we'll be popping up in those meetings, just getting the information out there for the community. And so if there's anything else you need or anything else you'd like to say, just know that we're here for you. And this is something that we're going to be hand in hand together with. So don't get tired of me, but we'll be here for everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sanchez. It's so important. If you look at some of the results, learning about the digital divide is so important. During COVID, we learned that many of our seniors did not have access. Many of our children knew how to operate their cell phones, but getting onto Zoom and navigating was difficult. So we began to host digital divide meetings where we would meet on Zoom and actually send a individual who had been tested and was negative for COVID to help our elders get on to call their doctor, stay in touch. So making sure that we know how we're going to communicate with one another is going to be paramount. Needing that interaction many times, this little phone here is our line of communication, but what kind of laptops, if there's a need for training as we move forward, and then the invitations to community meetings, making sure that we're aware of what each other need. And so at this time, if there's any questions, concerns, we have a host of individuals on who can answer most of your questions. And if we can't get questions to you answered right now, excuse me, family, I'm still at work.
Hey, Lisa, this is Mark. Can I follow up on something?
Please.
I know it was mentioned that the lack of service or the disappointment in service and being new to the city and back, our goal at DPU is to provide the best service possible. And with this project and working with Freshwater and working with the Junction Coalition and all other communities, our goal is to provide the utmost improved service that you won't feel like you're left out or you're missed out or not concerned about. So that's coming from the Department of DPU, that our goal is to improve not only our service, but our customer service. And as Alicia jokes saying that we fuss at each other a lot, but it's a positive fuss because she's engaging with me on the needs of the community.
And Mr. Riley, if I can give an example of that, we had some real issues around just not understanding what needs to happen during the time that there's a need for lead line replacement. And Mr. Riley left his desk, came out into the community and helped to explain it to a number of members of our community. And so I agree, it is a good fuss. Many times fussing in our community is seen as a way of getting to complete discourse and dialogue. And he did not run from it. He welcomed that dialogue and we resolved all of the concerns and are now meeting and having conversations on a regular basis. As Ramon shared, the Toledo Water Council is getting some great traction on a number of things, but could not do that without the municipality and the water department. So thank you so much, Mr. Riley, for that clarification. And I know that many of you are working in that water council, and a lot of the work that you see with the lead lines is because we've been working together. So Toledo is no stranger to getting in the trenches together at whatever level, making things happen. So we know now that we'll need things in bilingual materials. That will not be a problem, Steve. We can make sure that you have that. Pastor, we also know, and I said it, but if we gonna meet, we should eat. And so maybe possibly finding out what it is we can do to kind of greet each other and having a time where we can have a meeting place. So we do have a timeline that Ann will be sharing out. Yes, sir. He said meeting and eating is key. And we plan to do just that. Ann is going to share, she and Sanchez and myself will share a number of things. Steve, please.
Well, I just wanted to say that I think some important community institutions the Junction has, and we have, number one, the public library. I mean, Junction just got a Taj Mahal for them, but we have a nice library, and we have a Celesta is the head librarian or whatever you call her, and she is really committed to the neighborhood. We also have a wonderful public schools. I said this bilingual. We have another school in our neighborhood. So the schools, I think, are a really strong institution. Hopefully we can work with TPS. Hopefully we can get flyers or information into the schools. The churches, which Junction is full of, the North End has churches, other places I think are important. And then also any healthcare facilities. I know we have Neighborhood Health Association, we have a senior center, and excuse me, we also have a women's health clinic. And so the Broadway Coalition is really about orchestrating the institutions and nonprofits in our area, as well as the citizens, to really form a common front to solve our problems. So,
Steve, that's called working the existing services. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I agree with you. Junction has the beautiful Montconda. Miss Celeste is amazing over there in the South Toledo area. And to your point, why not come together in one of those locations and just meet, greet, and learn what we need? And I'm looking forward to doing just that. And if you wanted to just kind of walk through, I know we want to do our first seminar sometime soon. We have not decided any dates because we want to do that with you all, our community leaders. And our associate director, Ann, if she just explained what those seminars and trainings will be. We do have Miss for those of you who join later, we do have Miss Victoria Robinson on with us from the federal EPA, and she addressed the group and just said that she's looking forward to hearing the voice of community, as this is what Ian said, a community facing project. We want to make sure that we're getting the information from you. So Steve, thank you for that feedback. Is there anyone else with any questions, comments, or concerns?
I think it's a perfect time to ask any questions. I did want to do a quick shout out to Mark and all of the people at the city of Toledo, because it is true, this is an innovative project and they do care about their residents. And the fact that they've built in such a strong community engagement component demonstrates that. And we're just honored to be a part of it. And it's just, I don't know, it's so exciting to get to know all of you and hear your ideas, and I can't wait to help reduce the exposure to lead for every resident in Toledo. But we'll start with these 6 neighborhoods as a starting point.
Yes, and it's so important, as Ina was saying, and she has some amazingly handsome little young grandsons. This impacts our children immediately, but let's not forget it impacts us as well, as everything we do is interconnected and interwoven. And so, and did you have a projected time that you would like for us to consider for our next meeting while we're all here?
Well, I don't really, to be honest, because I do think we want to know when is the best time. Each group has a different meeting night, so I think we just need to look at the schedule. So I think Sanchez will be in touch. We'll find the best time that works for everyone. I think, what I'd like to do for the first training is really dive a little bit deeper into why lead's a problem. Just like Mark was saying, the water, when it leaves the plant, is good, but it goes through lead pipes, it goes through fittings, it goes through solder and picks up the contaminant and then makes it unsafe to drink. So, it's just kind of understanding that. That would be the first one I think we would do. Hopefully in July. I think we should try to shoot for something in the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks if we can. So we'll see if that's possible.
I want to just do this. This is really funny. I right now have on the phone. Hey, Dr. Durant, hold on. I'm telling it on you. Hold on a second. I'm telling on you right now. Hold on a second. Our superintendent of schools is calling right now. You see Dr. Durant, and he is so engaged in the work that we're doing with the federal EPA. So I'm going to hand it over to Sanchez because I want to tell him about the project. And Sanchez, if you can close up and take any additional questions, that would be great. So everyone say hello, Dr. Durant.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Durant.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Alicia. Really appreciate it. Any other questions? People can put them in the Q&A, you can put them in the chat. I think everyone has the ability to unmute themselves now and speak. So feel free to do that as well.
This is Steve Seaton. Was there something about artificial intelligence mentioned in this?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that.
Ian, I'm
Oh,
going to
sure.
pass that back to you.
Hi, Steve. This is Ian. I'm from Blue Conduit. We use statistical modeling, machine learning to help communities reconcile and uncertainty and find their lead service lines. And so one of the components of this project is working together with the city to develop, to help kind of locate the lead service lines so that the information about where those likely are, knowing that there is some uncertainty, but applying best practices in statistics, which is in this, I guess it's phrased artificial intelligence, in order to reduce uncertainty. And so I know we recorded the earlier part of the webinar. I know some joined late. I'd be happy to give a little bit more quick kind of summary of what it is that I spoke about, but in essence, what we're doing with the city is analyzing the records that they have about service line materials all over the city, understanding how the information that the city does have might have some biases in the sense that it might not be fully representative of the entire city. So it might be difficult to extrapolate across to areas where there is kind of either uncertainty or no information about the service line materials, and then working with the city to say kind of gather the right amount of data in order to best reduce that uncertainty or that unknown. And so there's been some inspections going on at different homes across the city to gather information so that we can build the most complete picture with, in the sense, the least amount of disruption. And then that information, that data, which is based on the work that Blue Conduit has done with communities across the country, working with over 50 cities, been doing this for over 5 years, to help inform not just where the city is going for prioritizing service line replacements, but knowing that if that is going to be delayed because we can't replace all the pipes in 1 year, empowering residents and communities with information about what they can do in the meantime, based on the likelihood of them having a lead service line at their address and who they can talk to at the city, and just how they can be kind of proactive in reducing their exposure to lead.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Ian. That's great. And I did share in the chat, but we did record this. So we will share that with all of you. And I think there will be lots of opportunities to hear Ian again. Every time I hear his presentation, I learn something new. So I think I need to hear it about 100 more times, but
it means I need to maybe do a little bit better on my presentation.
no, it's a complicated topic. So it's good. Any other questions that people have?
I just would like to add one more thing. I know you guys have been giving credit to Beaches and I, but one of our commissioners, Patika Pope Bannister, is on the call, and Beaches and I can do what we do without Patika.
Hear, hear. We're giving you a shout out, Patika.
Thank you. I think everyone all the presenters did a wonderful job this evening. And thank you to the community leaders for your time. We're very excited to get started. Thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it and your expertise.
Excellent. Are there any other questions?
Victoria, with EPA. I just want to say that I've appreciated hearing what everybody has had to say and talk a little bit about what makes their community, their neighborhood a little different in this overall story. And I am really, really interested in learning more about what is making your particular neighborhood tick and how people are reacting to this. I think I'm hearing that some neighborhoods more they're further along in this spectrum of engagement and stuff than maybe some other ones. And what are some of those lessons learned that could help the other neighborhoods move along? Those are some of the things I know that will over time I think will occur, but that's some of the things that I'm interested in hearing about, is seeing how people are reacting to this overall project, which is, I think, is a wonderful project, which is why one of the reasons why our agency decided to fund this for these 2 years. So thank you very much for this opportunity to participate.
Thanks, Victoria. We are grateful for your expertise and advice that you're providing and helping. And I know it's going to make everything that we do a little bit more thorough. Any other questions?
Oh, man.
Okay, if not, I get to at least be the lucky one to close us out early, which is always the way we love to have our meetings end, right? It's a little bit earlier than we expected. So thank you all. I just want to wish you all a wonderful holiday weekend. We'll all be talking with you'll probably hear from Sanchez the most, and I'm sure some of us will be getting together very soon. Take care and make sure to drink lots of clean water this weekend to stay cool.
Right on.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you so much,
Take
everybody.
care.